What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and as I talk with movie, TV show, video game later, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about Stranger Things Volume 2. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, I know I'm a little late to the party here. A lot of holiday stuff, of course, as many people probably were doing as well. So I didn't really get a chance to sit down and really review this. But since I am going tonight to go watch the season finale or the show finale, the series finale in theaters, I definitely wanted to get this out before I went and watched that and made a solo video on that finale. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get straight into this review. Now, starting off with my spoiler-free reviews, we are going to get into full-on spoilers here in a little bit, but just in case you haven't seen these 3 episodes, I think overall they were good. There's going to be a lot of controversy in these episodes. There's a lot of memes been going out. A lot of people have been really hating on these 3 episodes, and I don't think the episodes deserve entirety of the hate that they are getting. There are certain things that I definitely think could have been executed a little bit better. There was really great, awesome emotional moments, some good acting in my opinion, really great sequences, good CGI, digital effects, really like interesting things that they've introduced as well into this in these last 3 episodes. So there was a lot of good here, a lot of things to be excited for, a lot of things to love, a lot of things to continue to feel like this could be something that, you know, this definitely feels like a final season. There's a lot of things like that where they're setting up a lot of things. It looks like we're obviously heading into the final battle here. There's a lot of new lore. There's a lot of new things that we've learned as audience of what things are. So as a whole, I think there was a lot of good here. But again, there was some things that I felt like were misdone, could have been done a lot better, felt a little awkward, or just wasn't executed as well as we would have hoped. There's still no really ginormous emotional beats. There are some good emotional moments, but not things where you would feel yourself being devastated, or how the Duffer Brothers made it seem like this is going to be some of the saddest episodes we'll ever see in our lives. You know, they definitely hyped up a lot of things in these couple episodes, or where I don't feel like it lived up to that hype, unfortunately. But I don't think these episodes deserve all the hate that they have been getting. But with that being said, I think from here on out we are going to go into full spoilers. So if you haven't seen these episodes, be warned, this is your official and final spoiler warning. Now, I do spoilers for these, for especially for shows, because I feel like it's a little hard to kind of go through the emotions and things that kind of happen in a show without really talking about specific emotional beats or specific sequences and things like that. So I'm not gonna go in complete full order like I did on my last review of Volume 1, where I went episode by episode by episode. I'm gonna try to keep it structured like that a little bit, but I'll probably bounce back a little bit all over the place. But let's go ahead and start off with episode 5, Shock Jock. This episode I thought was actually done very well. Probably some of the best performances in this episode as well, where we're continuously to follow Holly and Max through the mind of Vecna as they try to escape and start to uncover different things. And I like the way they've been doing that and how they've been maneuvering it, where we're starting to see that Vecna has been kind of hiding his own trauma in his own mind, and seeing Holly and Max starting to slowly discover that and going through his own mind, and figuring out a way to try to escape again and try to get back into the real world. So I thought that was a very fun little sequence between them, which I think it does kind of go into episode 6 as well, when we do get the final full escape and stuff like that. But I think it was still very fun seeing them trying to navigate that, trying to figure out if there's a new way out. Obviously we see Max kind of giving up and feeling like they should just kind of just stick it out and hope for the best and see if someone comes finds them. If not, they're going to be stuck there forever. But Holly, it shows that she can be the bigger person, and she wants to continue to fight back and continue to fight a new way out. And we get an amazing sequence. So the reason why they call this Shock Jock is because they take one of the Demogorgons that Will killed in episode 4 with his little Vecna snap, and they basically bring him back to bring him back to life to connect Will into the hive mind. And I thought the sequence was so well. It was done very nicely, super epic, very awesome moments, a great performance. There's a lot of people hating on Noah Schnaps for this performance here with his, famous like yelling run sequence. But I thought that was done very well. The way he like was able to tap into Vecna's mind and kind of control him for a second, snapped his leg. I thought that was such an awesome, epic moment. Unfortunately, he is not strong enough to take Vecna on as of now. Vecna was able to kick him out of his mind, and he kind of brought him back to sleep and kind of made him a spy again, which is kind of unfortunate. I didn't really like that they did to Will, like what they did for Will in terms of that, where they gave him one of the best epic moments in this entire show in episode 4, the ending of episode 4, when he does the little Vecna snap, to bring him back down to kind of being, you know, not as strong and feeling like they give him such a big high and they just brought him right back down. And I didn't really like that. Obviously, I don't expect him to kill Vecna right then and there, but I would have preferred if Vecna kicked him out of his mind and he was like, okay, Vecna is obviously strong, but I think I found a way in. But he also found stuff, about us and where we're hiding people or where people are. So it'll kind of put us on a ticking time clock here. And but instead they put Will back in a little coma. He's back stuck inside of Vecna's mind, and they're just trying to find a way out. And I wish they didn't really do that. I wish there was more to it where Will realizes how strong he is, but he finds some sort of information to help the whole group out in the incoming battle against Vecna. But instead, I feel like they just bring him right back down, and it's a little bit unfortunate. And I didn't really like that they did that, where they need 11 to come back. 11 has to go in there and save him and bring him back out. I felt like that whole kind of sequence of having to bring 11 back out from the upside down, her kind of going to find Will and figure out that he's stuck again within Vecna's mind and help him get back out. I didn't really think that was necessary. I felt like that was a little bit kind of teetering around the main situation and kind of sidelining what's really important and trying to get prepared for Vecna to kind of just continuously build certain characters or build certain things out up between different people in the show and stuff. So I didn't think the whole Will getting put back into a coma was really all that necessary. Um, but I do think Will's performance, or Rorschach's performance, in that moment when he snaps Vecna's leg and he's telling Max to run, I thought that was a fantastic little moment there for Will. I thought that was done very well. And I'm trying my best to remember everything that happened. I have Netflix pulled up here, but I'm trying to remember exactly every little small little detail. But going into like episode 6, Escape from Kamazotz, I thought that was a very good episode as well, especially things that are going down in the upside down in the Hawkins lab, especially the relationships between Dustin and Steve and Jonathan and Nancy. I thought both of them had a very great emotional moment between each other. Um, but before we get into that, there's this new thing that we discover where Dustin discovers that there's this thing holding the upside down, which is like this exotic matter. And he finds out through this little research and notebook that he finds in the Hawkins lab that the upside down, big reveal here, isn't really like a parallel dimension, but instead a portal, a wormhole between two different worlds. And this was one of the biggest reveals. The Duffer Brothers did say that we would find out exactly what the upside down is and what it has been this entire time. And it has been a wormhole between Earth and the abyss, Dimension X, however you want to call it. And I thought that was very fascinating. I really like that um, change for the upside down, where it's not just like a parallel world to our main world. It serves a much bigger function of, Vecna trying to merge the two worlds, or how is it possible that all these, demogorgons and demons and mind flayers that are most likely originated from the abyss or dimension X, how did they end up in the upside down? How do they end up in the real world? And now we're starting to kind of uncover that. So I do like this whole little wormhole um, explanation of what the upside down is. I thought that was very fascinating. I really much enjoyed it. It's definitely a newer take on what a wormhole is. So I didn't mind that I know at all. I know some people kind of didn't feel all that great about it, but I thought that was actually a very excellent reveal, and I felt like it set up a lot of things. I do think it's a little too late in terms of a reveal. I like the whole wormhole idea, but I think this is something that could have been introduced, a season or two ago, or at least even in episode one of season five. But now that you're introducing something this major, this huge, two episodes before the finale, it seems like it's a little too late, and it does feel like we're kind of rushing things towards the end here, and that's where this kind of final season is starting to feel a little weird because of how quickly we're moving through, exposition dumps and explanations of what things are and what the plans are, what Vecna is trying to do. Like everything just feels so rushed, where we didn't get enough chance to expand on all these new reveals, all this new lore that we're figuring out, all this new ways that Vecna can control certain people, Will's powers, what's going on with Eleven. It's all being super compact. But overall, I do enjoy everything that they're serving us. All these reveals and things that we're getting is really interesting and really fun and really exciting. Now we just got to see how are they going to land this plane, what is going to happen, what is the overall resolution of all this information that we've been learning in the last couple of episodes. But overall, I do really enjoy what is being explained to us, what is being revealed, because I do think that wormhole idea, or how Vecna has been in the abyss pretty much his entire time as he's collecting all these kids and stuff like that to, you know, pretty much combine the worlds. That's his ultimate plan from what they're figuring out, is that Vecna wants to combine the abyss and Earth and just make it into one singular world. I do find that very, very interesting, and that's a huge thing that Vecna is trying to accomplish. And I'm very excited to see how are they even going to stop that. Steve comes up with a very interesting idea of letting the worlds come down together so they can be a little bit closer to somehow reach the abyss and stop Vecna once and for all. So I do like the plan that they're going for. It does seem a little risky. I felt like there was other plans that were explained throughout the episodes that were a little bit easier to follow. But this final plan that they're kind of going for is risky, but it does make things exciting and definitely puts us in a little bit of more of intention, because there is more of that time restriction. There's no room for error. They gotta get in, get out, and defeat Vecna before the worlds collide, essentially. But backtracking a little bit, I kind of went all over the place there. Uh, Steve and Dustin, I thought they had an amazing emotional moment. This entire season, we've been seeing Dustin kind of being a little bit more moody, and Steve being a little bit more moody towards Dustin as well. And they're kind of their best friend natures have been kind of compromised, and they haven't really been as close. They've been really snippy with each other, and they've just been angry with each other, and understandably so on both sides. I was very upset with Dustin at first of his kind of character change, but over time it just made more and more sense to me. You can also understand why Steve has been so much of an asshole to him as well, because he also feels like he lost his best friend, and because Dustin has been grieving so much on his own that he felt like he lost Dustin, and now he lost his friend. So you can see on both ends why they've been kind of assholes to each other. But this whole time, Steve's been telling Dustin that Eddie died for no reason. He was just trying to be a hero. He died because of his own fault. And we're constantly seeing Steve trying to be the hero, trying to do something risky. And we get a moment where Dustin is literally begging for him to not do this certain thing, where he's trying to get up these stairs that there's like a hole in between, and climbing up this ladder. And Dustin keeps telling him, like, no, if you do this, you're gonna die. I can't lose you again. I can't go through this grief again. And he is begging for Steve to not go over that ladder. And they have this really, really nice sweet moment where they hug, and Dustin is crying. And as Steve kind of looks back, and the structure underneath the ladder basically dissolves, and it falls down into the abyss. And Steve realizes that if he would have tried to been the hero to go save Steve and Jonathan and Nancy, that he would have died, and he would have died for no reason trying to be a hero, just like Eddie died. And I thought that was a great emotional moment. Finally they got to the central core of their issues, and they're making up with each other, and it was very emotional. And it was nice to kind of see Dustin kind of express his feelings and not be so closed off anymore. And it was nice to see Steve kind of open up again, and give Dustin that big old like brotherly hug, and seeing their friendship kind of be revived. So very, very nice moment there. And then it gets paralleled with a Jonathan and Nancy moment where there's, seemingly are about to die, and they're starting to tell each other things that they hate about each other, things that they felt like their relationship really wasn't working out, and that they care about each other, but it's just not what they expected. And I don't understand why people were so confused that they broke up. I thought it was fairly obvious that they broke up here. They don't have to spill it out and say, okay, I think we should break up. The way they were speaking, the way Jonathan said, I unproposed to you, the way they kind of seemingly had a mutual understanding just with their emotions, with their acting, with the things that they were saying. It was, for me, it was fairly obvious that they broke up there. And I thought that was a very nice little sweet moment between them two, that they both acknowledge like, hey, we love each other, but this is not gonna work out. And it's not even for Nancy to be like, yeah, it's not gonna work out for you and me, but I'm gonna go over to Steve. It's not even like that at all. This was a very mutual breakup, and even Nancy, I feel like I like this route more, where she's gonna be more independent and isn't kind of being bogged down between two boys, fighting over her the whole time. She's gonna be independent because she is the most badass between all three of them, between Jonathan, Steve, and her. She is the most badass for sure. So I think she's realizes that she is happy as of right now being independent and just kind of being a leader for herself. And so I really, really enjoy that moment. I thought that was a very sweet moment to have, Dustin and Steve make up, and have Jonathan and Nancy kind of squash this like really awkward tension between them, to discover that they are not really meant for each other, but they know that they love each other. So I thought that was very two nice emotional moments there as well. um Still no deaths in this show. There's still a lot going on. There is a lot going on, but there is no deaths at all, which is very strange. I'm not sure if they're going to do anything at this point. I feel like they're not going to kill off anybody, which wouldn't be absolutely terrible, but it does feel a little weird that this season, more than any, feels like there's no stakes, that there's so much plot armor. So it's a little unfortunate, but um also getting into this episode, and then the next couple episode or whatever, we do get an escape for Max and Holly out of Vecna's mind. But it is one of the most frustrating things to watch ever. We've seen twice Max trying to escape, and both times she walks to the little portal that helps her escape, and this time they find the portal again, and instead of running like fucking your ass is on fire, they decide to take like 10 minutes to talk to each other, and Max telling Nancy, or excuse Max telling Holly that she needs to find her own way out. Like, what? Like, you couldn't tell her this 20 minutes ago? You have to wait now when your portal is there ready for you? Like, run, go. That was one of the most frustrating moments. Like, I was literally standing up, like hitting the wall, like, oh my God, I can't believe we're watching this again. Seeing her just stand there. And then when they finally do decide to move, they walk to the portal. It was one of the most frustrating things. I'm so happy to see Max out of Vecna's mind and back into her own body. I'm so happy. It's great to finally get her back into intertwining with the main cast. But that was one of the most frustrating things out of these episodes, and I was very, very upset that they did that once again with that whole sequence. This is the third time they've done this, and it was very frustrating, but ultimately satisfying that she finally made it out. And Holly escaped but got recaptured, so that was a little annoying. But overall, it was nice to see Max finally make it out after her being in a coma for, it seems like, what, 2 seasons now. It's been very, very strange. So it's a little unfortunate that they had to do it that way. And I'm not sure what her involvement is going to be in the final episode, especially because she has limited functions to her body, because she's been in a coma for so long. So I'm not sure what her role is going to play in the final episode. But overall, again, still very glad that she is back. And that whole sequence in the hospital was absolutely amazing. Seeing Lucas running around, the demo dogs chasing them, having Karen Wheeler be a badass once again. There was a whole little fun sequence there. So that was very, very exciting. So again, there's a lot of good things in these 3 episodes, but there is also a lot of frustrating things, a lot of things that could have just been executed better. But overall, it's been good. I'm excited to see what this final episode is going to be. Um, I don't want to say I'm disappointed or underwhelmed. Obviously these are all setup episodes, so I didn't expect this to be this one grand thing for the volume two. But I really, really do hope they stick the landing for the finale. But in episode 7, not really much going on. You have Callie trying to convince Eleven to kill herself, because if they don't, the cycle will just continue, and they will continue to restart the programs to make more of these superpowered kids. And I think that's just a giant fake out. I think Callie is trying to kill Eleven. I do think she's kind of bad in this season. I don't think she is a good person. They're really trying to put her out as a villain, but I don't think Eleven really wants to go through the whole thing of killing herself and stopping the cycle, because I don't think that's really going to help anything. And speaking of Eleven, she is definitely weaker. I know Kelly has said multiple times that Eleven is getting weaker, but I thought that was just her kind of saying it just cuz. But she really is getting weaker. She's struggling with lifting a semi truck. She's struggling with moving a metal plate off of the rift of the upside down, where before in previous seasons she's flipped trucks, she snapped people's necks, she's dropped helicopters. And for her to be struggling with these things that seemingly feel very, should have been very easy for her, especially all the training she's been doing, it's a little strange. I'm not sure where they're going with that as well. I'm not sure what they're going to do with her. How strong is she going to be in this final battle? Is it going to be all will, or is Eleven really even going to be able to help because how weak she is? I'm not too sure. But ultimately, in this final episode, it's really all about planning out. There's been so many plans that have been thrown out there. And also, before I forget as well, is also the reveal, or or Will kind of revealing to everybody that he is gay. And I thought that was a good moment. Again, another moment that could have been executed a lot better, but I think Will did a fantastic job in terms of the acting and bringing out the emotions. I thought everybody around Will seemed a little awkward. I heard that was a very long scene to film. It took him about 12 hours to film for some reason, but everybody seemed a little awkward. Not everybody seemed like they were super into that sequence, but I do think Will did a very fantastic job in bringing out the emotion. But again, another sequence that I felt like the dialogue could have been done a little bit better, could have been executed a little bit better. But ultimately, I do think it definitely brought the emotion, and it was very necessary to what this final battle is going to be against Vecna, where Vecna can't really use that secret against Will in his mind. So Will definitely had to reveal that to everybody, so he can feel a little bit more secure within himself and didn't have a thing that Vecna can really use against him. So there's that also as well that I thought was done decent. Could have been done a lot better. Reactions amongst the crew could have been better as well to elevate the emotion. But overall, I thought that was actually a very fantastic sequence. Ultimately, I think these 3 episodes were good. They weren't as good as the first volume, in my opinion, but they were good, and they're setting up a lot of things. I'm sure there's things that I missed because I've just been bouncing around, and it's been a little while since I've seen these episodes as well. It's already been 4 or 5 days since I've seen these episodes, so they're not super fresh in my mind. But I think I covered pretty much all the bases here. But let me know what you guys think about Volume 2. I know there's a lot of people that are seemingly starting to hate on it. They're trying to compare it to Game of Thrones of how badly they're fumbling this final season. I don't think it's to that extent of a fumble, but I do think this is one of the weaker seasons as of right now. But if they stick this landing, this could still definitely be one of the best shows of all time. I do think it's still in the conversation, even if they do fumble the finale. But I really, really hope they don't and stick the landing, because there's a lot of things setting up here. There's a lot of information that we're getting thrown at us, and it's a 2.5 hour episode, so there's a lot of time for them to set everything else they need left and get the final battle through and make everything satisfying. I just really, really hope they're able to do so. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about Volume 2 in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys are excited for the finale. But again, if you guys like anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.